we can translate with style the Latin word elocutio, the name of the third phase of rhetoric, the one in which we deal with how to dress ideas in words, that is, how to actually say what we mean to say. The assumption behind this phase is this, that there are more ways in which you can express one idea. Let us start with an example from literature, and more specifically from a famous tragedy by William Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. Everybody knows the story, but not everybody remembers how it begins. At the beginning of the tragedy, we have Romeo desperately in love with someone else, not Juliet. He actually is in love with another girl, Rosaline, who does not love him back, as it sometimes happens. And Romeo's friends try to back him up and suggest going to a party at the Capulets. And Romeo says, "You want me dead, bringing me to a party by my sworn enemies." But the friends say, "There won't be any problem, you can wear a mask." And so they go. And the first thing Romeo spots when he gets into the hall is Juliet dancing. And he's dumbstruck, and he thinks, she's beautiful. He forgets Rosaline on the spot and falls in love with Juliet. And we know how it ends. So we have a simple, clear idea. She is beautiful. And one way of saying it is already this one. She is beautiful. But there are other ways, thanks God. And thanks God we have Shakespeare, who chooses another way. And so Romeo says, "She teaches the torches how to burn bright. Did my heart love until now? Call me a liar, my eyes, for I've never seen true beauty until this night." As you can see, this is a quite good alternative to just saying, "Oh, she's beautiful." What can we learn from this example? That even without being Shakespeare, we can see that the way we dress our ideas with words can make a difference. Elocutio, first and foremost, reminds us that a good text has to be correct, clear, and appropriate to the situation. These are the first three virtues of style taught by ancient orators. We shall linger on the fourth virtue, which is called ornament. We could say how to do magic with words. Ornament is based on the famous rhetorical figures, that is, ways in which the normal use of language gets deflected and repurposed to provide a vivid image of what the communicator wants to say. The rhetorical figures are many and are organized according to different taxonomies. For the sake of this course, we shall see some examples meant to persuade of their efficacy and to prompt to search for more. Let us start with the queen of all rhetorical figures, the metaphor. Metaphor basically means making reference to something by means of something else. If we say, Louis is a lion, we make reference to Louis's courage by means of something else, the lion, which does not mean courage, but entails courage as a prominent characteristic. You can immediately see how striking and effective the metaphor is with respect to simply saying, Louis is brave. Let us now take another example of metaphor used in a project proposal by my group. The proposal dates back to some years ago, when technology-based communication for cultural heritage was blossoming in some countries, especially Anglo-Saxon countries, while other countries were lagging behind. The proposal would stem from this gap. There are institutions that, in spite of being quite relevant in the real world from the point of view of their collections, do not have an adequate representation on the internet. In order to convey how striking this paradox was, a metaphor was used, and we wrote, "The divide is striking. Over the internet, giants of the cultural world are dwarfed by institutions of medium relevance." As you can see, the paradox is highly emphasized by the metaphor, which is much more effective than just saying important institutions are not adequately represented on the internet, while less important ones are. Let us see now another example of rhetorical figure, this time a quite elaborate analogy. There is a comparison meant to help the audience connect to an idea. The author is the United States President Abraham Lincoln replying to critics to his administration. Here it is. Gentlemen, suppose all the property you were worth was in gold, and you had put it in the hands of Blondin, the famous rope walker, to carry across the Niagara River on a rope. Would you shake the cable or keep shouting out to him, Blondin, stand up a little straighter, Blondin, stoop a little more, go a little faster, lean a little more to the north, lean a little more to the south? No, you would hold your breath as well as your tongue and keep your hands off until he was safe over. The government is carrying an immense weight. Untold treasures are in their hands. They are doing the very best they can. Don't badger them. Keep silent and we'll get you safe across. Here, like in the Shakespeare example, the idea is simple. I do not think we should change anything. But see how much more effective it is to express it by a complex, compelling, engaging analogy. How can you object to that? Of course you don't want to badger a rope walker. We now see a last example of rhetorical figure, the anaphora. The anaphora consists in the repetition of the same word expression at the beginning of successive clauses. Winston Churchill uses anaphora in a famous speech that changed the world's history. We shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. This kind of strategy, which is meant to add emphasis, can also be used in scientific communication. Here is an example from a paper discussing the advantages of using chatbots in education. Anaphora serves the purpose of emphasizing the cause-effect relation between the design choice being defended in the study and its advantages. We would like to conclude discussing why we should have data-driven chatbots. The advantages that we envision are several. Simplifying the production cost. For a new course, only the content database needs to be replaced. As a consequence, content experts can generate a new chatbot almost without need of using information and communication technology experts. As a consequence, a lower cost of production, much lower with respect to current practices, allows a large diffusion of chatbots. As a consequence, the cost of maintenance of content and pathways is greatly reduced, therefore leading to an improved quality over a medium-long period. With this lesson, I hope I have achieved two goals. Number one, to show you that rhetorical figures are not mere ornaments, but actual devices that can make communication more effective. Number two, to entice you to dig for more and experiment and see by yourself that rhetorical devices can turn a plain text into an arrow that hits the target.